Well, welcome friends, and welcome back to The Merchant's Way. You know, we're at a very interesting time in our history now. And it's fortuitous that here we are going through wall paintings and symbolism and all of these things, because ironically they're becoming the one thing we can put more reliance on than the written words. Because as we look back on our history, we're at a time where it seemed that our history has been manipulated for whatever advantageous gains. So we can no longer really trust what we're reading. But you know, at least here we are at this time talking about wall paintings and the origin, how they started. And it now seems that we really need to pay far more attention to wall paintings, cave paintings, because we're able to read more truth within these. And it's very worrying because, you know, I consider myself quite immersed in the cultural, historic world and all of that. And it just seemed like, you know, here we are with things that for hundreds of years, thousands of years, it's being manipulated still to this day. But as we've become more advanced, there are things like DNA, genetics, we're better equipped to be able to check things. And we're finding an awful lot of discrepancies. You know, if it's one thing, you know, once we lose truth, yes, there'll be short-term gain for those who've orchestrated to deceive. But as mankind moves forward, it doesn't do us any favors. So we have to be so careful, you know. So I'm finding myself that obviously I want to share with you all of this building, what it stands for, all of these things. And we'd been on a rant and a bit of a rage 4 episodes back in Saving Our Grantham Town and all of that, and I thought it would be a wonderful break now for us to just concentrate on culture, art and culture. But you know, we have to be realistic, because I cannot just sit here ignoring all of those elements which are now coming into the cultural world. Well, it's not just coming in, but we're becoming more aware of this. And not for me to talk about it with you, because, you know, that just wouldn't be right. We have to address all these issues. So I will deviate because there is truth, and that's very important to me. So on the business of wall paintings, we've touched on church painting, ecclesiastical paintings, and domestic as well, cave paintings too. But you know, we've also touched on the business of the differences with English wall paintings and those we see on the continent. And in England, we never thought we had anything of that highest standard, but that's not correct. Now, one of the places I can say to you, you know, which is an enormous shame that we lost that, was the old Palace of Westminster. Because in there we had the Painted Chamber, the Antioch Chamber, and various painted chambers within. And these were of the highest, absolutely the highest quality. And they were well documented, because one could see, and they were redone dates at which they were being redone, repainted in each different chamber. And so these things weren't, yes, wall paintings, as we've addressed, they weren't supposed to last for hundreds of years just as a one-off job. They were completely repainted, subject matters were changed, things were in and out of fashion. So, it was an alive situation. Now, it brings us into a situation that, again, it's always been an enormous question to be asked. Do we restore paintings today, or do we conserve? And that's a debate that's going, I think, will run and run. I have to say, for instance, as I've elaborated to you, we will only conserve here at Ellis Manor House. And I have been to other places, and I do know of other places that they've restored. Now, there are times that I've looked at things which have been restored, and somehow I think it loses something. That's not to say that all restoration will bring that about. But nonetheless, I guess our wall paintings, the sections which have been conserved, properly conserved by those two delightful conservators you saw in our clip of previous episodes, Bianca Madden and Claudia Fiocchetti, we're at a point where they captivate, because they're just at a point now, if they stay like that, that's fine. But over many hundreds of years, if they're then losing still more color, then I think that needs to be seriously looked at. Because why should we, in our current state, enjoy them, and the next or several other generations down not be able to do the same? So we almost want to keep them as they are. But if they were in danger of losing any more tincture, then I think one would need to look at that seriously to see what should be done. So I'm hoping you can appreciate what I'm saying, because this is a dilemma. You do get something at a stage in its life, and I guess it's like us in a way. There's a stage in our lives where we might say, well, we find each other more interesting at that point at their life than when they were just young and bubbly and young and energetic. And when they become quite sort of in the autumn of their life, or in the autumn of our lives, I should say. But it's that middle ground where we still have a youthfulness, but we've gained enough character, and it's at that point we find each other interesting. And it's the same with these inanimate objects we so cherish and speak of. And so what does one do? And we have the same dilemma if the person, the individual, starts to muck about under the knife with doctors and so forth to retain their looks. They can lose that special thing that we found interesting. So again, you're seeing about the interconnectedness I speak of. Everything is connected. Food for thought. So look, good sailing, and we'll see you on the next voyage. I'll leave you with that for now.